It is no secret that Arizona Senator John McCain and President Trump are not the best of friends. And now sources close to McCain say President Trump is not expected to be invited to his funeral. McCain, who is 81, was diagnosed with an aggressive form of brain cancer last year. And we're told former Presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama have been asked to deliver eulogies at McCain's funeral. Joining me again, Kelly Jane Torrance and Daniel Lipman. Daniel, I'm going to start with you as promised, but first I want everyone to listen to some of the things that President Trump has said about Senator McCain, and then we'll hear what Senator McCain has to say about Trump a little later. But let's start with the president.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
And except for one senator who came into a room at 3 o'clock in the morning and went like that, we would have had health care too. We would have had health care too. Think of that. And by the way, we are decimating Obamacare. We got a bad vote the evening. We got a bad vote the evening that we were going to terminate Obamacare. We got a bad vote. You know about that, right? That was not a nice thing.
Now, politics, Daniel, obviously is sometimes a rough sport, but the degree to which McCain has now come out through this source, I mean, I can't imagine that the source would speak if they didn't have McCain's blessing, to let everyone know that he doesn't want the president at his funeral. How intense is this dislike?
I think this is what happens when you have a president that has criticized McCain in pretty personal terms for the last couple of years. If he had treated him well, he might have been invited to the funeral. But I think Senator McCain views Donald Trump as part of this nationalism and populism thing that is not good for the country. McCain is an internationalist. He likes engaging with the world. He likes working with allies. And as you saw 2 days ago, President Trump was basically lighting people's hair on fire from France and England with mocking how, they had suffered terrorist attacks. That's something that McCain would never have done. And so you see this animosity between the two. And McCain views himself as being in the right. He thinks that history will exonerate him if Trump does not win a second term, for example.
Kelly, this is, first, let's just identify, this is an unusual conversation to have about invitations to a funeral for a man who is still alive. But we know that Senator McCain wants former President Obama, former President Bush to eulogize him. These are, respectively, Bush and Obama in 2000 and 2008, political opponents in the primary and then the general. And talk about, if you would, the relationship between these men and why they would be identified. Is it intentionally a snub against the current president, or is it because there is this affinity shared between McCain and Bush and Obama?
Yeah, it's very mixed, Victor. And I have to say that, John McCain's vote on Obamacare, I really think that if President Trump, as a candidate, had not come out and made fun of John McCain for being a prisoner of war, I think John McCain's vote would have been different. I do think that some of his votes in the Senate after President Trump was elected were specifically made because he is angry at the president, and who can blame him? I mean, to me, that was the moment that we knew that there was something very different about this candidacy. When President Trump made fun of somebody who everybody regards as a hero, and this man was a prisoner of war for years, faced torture. When President Trump made fun of that and was still a candidate for president, and it did not really hurt him in the polls, that's when we knew there was something different. Of course, we've seen many different scandals since with President Trump and things he's said and things he's done that have come to light. But that was the moment, I think, that really marked this. There's something different about this guy, and the American people are feeling something different about this guy. And I think that John McCain, he's never come out and said anything about it, but he does have that animosity. And it is strange, a man who's alive planning his own funeral. But yeah, I think he doesn't want President Trump there. But let's face it, President Trump didn't even go to Barbara Bush's funeral. He sent his wife, so he's probably not, doesn't want to go anyway.
That's one of the other elements there. And say that again, Daniel?
He played golf, in the
afternoon. On the day of Barbara Bush's funeral. Let's get to another element. I talked about McCain's feelings on President Trump, and these are excerpts from Senator McCain's upcoming book through NPR. They have a couple of snippets here in which McCain writes, "I'm not sure what to make of President Trump's convictions." He goes on to write, "He threatened to deliberately kill the spouses and children of terrorists, implying that an atrocity of that magnitude would show the world America's toughness." He goes on to write about his own life, "I don't have one complaint, not one. It's been quite a ride. I made a small place for myself in the story of America, and this is in the history of my time." So it's a blend here. We don't want what will be an event to honor this senator to be overshadowed by the one man who's not there. But this reporting and what he's writing in his book, the senator himself wants to make sure that he's clear on where he stands on this president.
I think that's true. John McCain sees himself as one of the few rational senators in Congress these days, and I think he's worried that when he departs from the scene, that a lot of moderate Republicans, they aren't that many left, and so he's probably happy that Mitt Romney is likely to be elected from Utah to try to carry that mantle. And with Jeff Flake retiring, you see the shift to the right of the Republican Party and also to the left. You don't have many Democratic deal makers as well. It'll be interesting to see if Democrats take control of Congress and how that affects things, whether the partisan war between Congress and the White House only gets worse, or whether President Trump can actually make some deals with a Democratic Congress, because they do have things in common like infrastructure that they could get done.
Yeah,
only in Donald Trump's America is the guy who was caught on mics joking and using the Beach Boys song Barbara Ann and joke bomb, 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 Barbara Ann. Only in Donald Trump's America is that guy a moderate Republican.
All right, Kelly, Jane, and Daniel, it's some remarkable reporting here about what the senator wants to add to his funeral, who he wants there and does not. But let's hope that funeral is no day soon.